Hey, good evening, folks. Hope you all are doing well. And I'm excited today. We've got a Roth conversion case study today. So I'm going to be going over um, a situation of a single individual, age 63. They've got $2 million investment portfolio. And should they do a Roth conversion? Should they not? Why? Why not? If they should do a Roth conversion, how much should they do? I'm going to be answering all of this stuff today. So before I do this real quickly, let me just make sure that the stream looks okay. And then we should be off to the races. Let's see. Okay, great. Check that. Looks great. Let's get the show on the road then. So case study, of course, before we do this, gotta tell you all, hey, all this information is educational nature. It is not tax, legal, or investment advice for your specific information, for your specific situation. It's just general knowledge. So before taking any action on your situation, always talk with your tax, legal, or investment professional. And hey, David from the land of YouTube. Yes, it's a crazy place over there. Yeah. So if you guys don't know, I've got a YouTube channel. Check it out. I'm sorry. I've had some editing issues. So I've got a lot of videos in the queue, but I haven't been able to get them out. I'm working on fixing that, and I will get them out shortly. So enjoy it. But anyways, let's jump into the case study here. So it's a good one. We're going to have Susan Smile here. Susan is age 63. She has a $1.5 million IRA, $500,000 in a taxable account. So that means non-retirement account. She's spending $80,000 a year. Her Social Security at full retirement age would be $3,000 a month. And she's also got a pension that gives her $1,000 a month as well. So how do we determine if Susan wants to do a Roth conversion? Well, it's actually pretty simple. There's just a three-step process here. You have to determine the tax rate that the Roth conversion is going to face this year. So really what that entails is, hey, figuring out, okay, what's my tax return going to look like this year? More or less, you got to create a pro forma tax return and say, okay, this is how I think this is what my situation is this year, and then add a Roth conversion to that. And then you can kind of see, okay, well, if I add the Roth conversion, this increases my taxes by this much. And I forgot to mention, Susan is a resident of Florida, so no state taxes to deal with today, just federal income taxes we're talking about here. So once you figure out, okay, this is the tax rate I'm going to face on my Roth conversion, then you have to determine your future estimated tax rate. So essentially, if you think, hey, if I don't do a Roth conversion, I just keep the money in my IRA, I'm going to have to pull that money in my IRA account eventually, what's it going to be taxed at? If I leave it in the IRA and it gets taxed later on, what's that tax rate going to be? Since we're talking about the future here, often really far out in the future, you're going to have to make some estimates on it. We'll talk more about that. And then, of course, once that's kind of the meat of this right here. Once you get through step 1 and 2, then step 3 is pretty simple. You just compare. And Roth conversions, the key to them is you always want to do a Roth conversion at the lower tax rates today versus the future. So you want to do Roth conversions when you're at lower tax rates today versus higher anticipated tax rates in the future. If you have higher tax rates in the future than what you'll pay in a Roth conversion today, that's generally a sign it's going to make sense to do a Roth conversion. But if you are going to pay high tax rates on a Roth conversion today and you think your tax rates are going to be lower in the future, then you wouldn't want to do a Roth conversion. We'll also get into that. And for those of you who don't know what a Roth conversion is, just taking money from an IRA and putting into a Roth IRA. You're allowed to do that. You just literally move money, stocks, one place to the other. Why people want to do this is it gets them tax-free growth. It gets more money into a Roth IRA. Roth IRAs, if you follow the withdrawal rules, have tax-free. So it's tax-free income. Sounds great, right? Well, the catch is you have to pay taxes to get the money into your Roth IRA. And so kind of how do you figure out that balance of, well, if I pay taxes now, that means I'm going to have less money. So there's an opportunity cost to that because I don't have that money to stay with me to invest it, to grow it or produce interest for me. So if I pay taxes today, there's an opportunity cost to that, but then I get tax-free growth. That's what this whole tax rate thing is, balancing it out. So let's jump into my super fancy financial planning software, and I will show you guys what this looks like for Susan right here. And let's see, let me remove this. There I am. Hi. And let me add this. Okay, so let's analyze the strategy. So there's a lot of different withdrawal plans. At first, let's just look at what Susan's situation would be if she doesn't do any Roth conversions, okay? And so if she doesn't do any Roth conversions, then the withdrawal plan is going to be to take money. Actually, I'll show you guys right here. The withdrawal plan is just going to be to take money from her taxable account until we basically whittle that down, and then just take money from the IRAs to fund her spending. So that's the withdrawal plan. That's generally the rule of thumb. Hey, if you're not going to do Roth conversions, what's a way to be generate tax efficient income in retirement? Well, the idea is you want to spend down taxable money first, because when you do that, that taxable money often doesn't generate too much taxable income for you. And if it does, if you're smart about it, you can get long-term capital gains tax treatment. But the other benefit to spending money down from the taxable accounts first is that you're getting to delay taking money out of your IRA accounts. And that means you're getting the benefits of tax deferral, meaning, hey, we're just delaying paying taxes on this money, but that's really valuable because it means you get to keep more money in there for longer, which means you have more time for that money to work for you. It's kind of like the government giving you a interest-free loan, saying, hey, we're going to give you this interest-free loan, use this money, invest it, grow it, and we're going to want a cut of it later on, but we're giving you money to work with here. So that's kind of the thinking behind the strategy and why it's the rule of thumb. Not going to be applicable to everyone's situation. And in fact, many people benefit from actually kind of doing a little bit of IRA, a little bit of taxable account each year. That can be a little bit more tax efficient. But if you want like a really simple rule of thumb, then that's generally the idea. That's like the established rule of thumb for the industry. But now Roth conversions have come along, and generally they kind of dominate this withdrawal plan. So Roth conversions, essentially you have the taxable money, but then you just add in doing Roth conversions at the beginning of it in your low income tax years, because lower income means you're going to face lower tax rates. Okay, talked about that. You know what? Actually, I think I realize I just gave you guys this process, but I'm kind of jumping out of order here. Let me jump back real quick to this, because yeah, I told you the first step is to determine tax rate and Roth conversion this year. And man, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm already, nerdy me wants to jump into my tool and talk to you guys about stuff. That tool is actually better for estimating your future tax rate. So first, let's actually go talk about determining your tax rate on a Roth conversion amount this year. So I'm going to show you a different tool here. And this is a tool I use. Let me just pull this up. I'm going to share my screen here. 1 second. There we go. Yep, right here. Okay, so what this tool is, it kind of helps me, figure out, okay, what's someone's taxable income for the year and how is that going to affect their situation? So maybe even a little bit more. Yeah. Now we can see that nice and clear. Okay, so what's Susan's income and ignore taxpayer number one. That's my wife. But we're talking about Susan Smile here. So what's her taxable income for the year? Well, she has a real simple taxable income. Her pension doesn't start until next year. So she has no pension income. She's delaying her Social Security. So the only income she has this year is $50,000 of long-term capital gains. Susan's been really tax efficient because she's going to pay a whopping $0 of taxes. Look, let me show you. Total income, 50K, long-term capital gains, taxable income, total taxes, 0, nada, zilch. How is Susan doing this? Well, this is the power of the 0% tax bracket in retirement, which can be nice. I mean, especially after a lifetime of paying taxes, I get it. You're like, wow, I don't have to pay taxes on income. That sounds great, Larry, sign me up. But it's kind of I'm not going to say a trap, but there can be a more efficient way with Roth conversions. But so how you get this, we're not going to go into all the details, but basically if you hold an investment for longer than a year in a non-retirement account, you have any growth on that investment, then generally when you sell the investment, the growth is taxed at the long-term capital gains tax brackets. So let me show you what those tax brackets are. Oh, Irma we'll talk about here later. So the tax brackets, if you are under $44,600 for a single individual, you pay a 0% tax rate. Now you might be saying, hey, wait, Larry, she had $50,000 of income and you said she was paying zero taxes, but this tax bracket right here is only saying if she's under $44,600. Well, so to add a little bit more complexity to this, you have to add in the standard deduction, which is what everyone gets. And that's essentially the government saying, hey, we're going to give everyone a certain amount of tax-free income for the year. So the standard deduction, let me add that back in. Standard deduction for 2023, single individual, $13,850. So the government basically says, hey, your first $13,850 of income, tax-free. And that doesn't count against your tax bracket. So you get $44,625 plus $13,850 for a grand total of, what is that, 58,000 something is what that's going to be of tax-free income, which is, I mean, pretty good. I don't know any Curb Your Enthusiasm fans out there, but that's my terrible Larry David impression. No relation, both Larrys, but yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop with the corny jokes. So, yeah, so she's paying zero taxes, so that's pretty good, right? But here's the thing. We know that Susan, well, actually, let me, again, getting ahead of myself here. So this is all Susan's income. So if we add Roth conversions, then we're going to know what it's taxed because this is all Susan's tax at right now. And so I kind of have this cool tool that will show me if we add taxable income. So if we do a Roth conversion, what's the tax rate of it going to be depending on how much of the Roth conversion we do? And immediately we're going to see here is that, hey, Susan could do a Roth conversion of about $7,000 and pay $0 of taxes on it. So that's about as good as it gets. Zero, don't pay any taxes to a tax-free Roth conversion is awesome. So she could do that. But then look, all of a sudden this tax rate is starting to jump here. And we're going to see this red and blue area. The blue area represents her federal income taxes. So the tax bracket she's in for federal income tax purposes. So you can see it's 10% here, then it goes to 12, 22, 24, etc. But so what the heck is this red area? It says capital gains. And I know I just told you that capital gains are tax-free, right? Except if you're doing Roth conversions, that might not be the case. It can complicate things. So there's two different types of income in the tax code. There's ordinary income, and then there's essentially preferred like long-term capital gains income. Okay, for our purposes, we can just think of it as two different types of income. There's more, but these are like the two primary things that the vast majority of people are going to encounter. So Roth conversion is ordinary income, so she has to pay taxes on the Roth conversion. But then what ends up happening is ordinary income slides, pushes your capital gains income out of that 0% tax bracket. Let me go back to that real quick. So Roth conversion income, see how we're at the 0% tax bracket? Well, if you have enough of it, it's going to push your capital gains income out of the 0% and into the 15%. It's kind of like, hey, the Roth conversion is eventually saying like, hey, scoot over. I get to cut the line here. I'm going to get taxed at the lowest ordinary income tax rates, but then that's going to increase your taxable income. And so that's going to bump up your capital gains income potentially. And so that's what is happening here. That's what the program is showing is that, oh, if we start doing, $20,000 of Roth conversion, well, really it starts at $10,000. That's going to push each $1,000 of Roth conversion income is going to push $1,000 of capital gains income from the 0% bracket into the 15% tax bracket. So when you add up, for example, this little couple $1,000 ridge right here, the Roth conversion is going to get double taxed because it's going to get taxed 10% ordinary income tax rates. And then it's also going to push those capital gains up into the next tax bracket. And those capital gains are going to get taxed at 15%. So you add 10% plus 15%, 25% tax rate. Not great at all. So, oops. What did I just do here? I clicked the button and, those numbers are huge at the bottom. So let's update chart. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay. It's back. So, So we have this conundrum here of we want to do the Roth conversion because we're only getting taxed at 10 or 12% federal income tax rates, but the tax code is a little more complicated in the tax brackets. And this is one of those stealth taxes I like to talk about here with the capital gains. Now we could, we see we hit a 27% total federal income tax rate, which is not, it's pretty high when you think you're getting taxed at 12%, but really it's 27%. There are certain instances too where Social Security, if you have Social Security income and this happens, and you also have long-term capital gains income, you can get a triple taxation event. But I didn't model that because that's too crazy, and it's actually a little bit more rare than it used to be, but it can still happen. So, but then basically, once we move pushing through all those capital gains into the 15% tax bracket, we can see that then the tax rate goes back down to the 22% ordinary income tax bracket. And that's that. And you can kind of see here, like right at the ending of the 12% bracket to the 22 is where this kind of ends. We've pushed all the capital gains we can. And so now it's just 22%. And we could go all the way up to 24%. So let me see if there are any questions on this before I go on. And of course, David's got a question. Let's see what his question is. Which is a better choice? Tax gain harvesting versus Roth conversions? Well, David, it's a great question, and I'm going to answer that when we look at future tax rates, because basically what we have to see is exactly, you're asking the right question. Is it better just to not do the Roth conversion, or should we still do the Roth conversion? What's going to reduce our taxes? And it's going to depend. I'm going to get into it. But to answer that question, we need to look at this step number 2, which is our estimated future tax rate to decide. And for those of you who may not know what tax gain harvesting is, it's essentially when you just say, hey, forget the Roth conversion. I'm just going to I'm going to purposely recognize long-term capital gains income to fill up that 0% tax rate, because 0% is 0%. Don't have to pay any taxes on it, and so that means it's just more tax-free money for me in the future. But of course, while you can recognize these gains at a 0% tax rate, any further growth in the future is going to get taxed again, or at least it's going to have to stay in this. You're going to have to stay in the 0% tax rate, which can be difficult for people, especially when Social Security and RMD start kicking in, which is what's going to happen to Susan. So we'll see. Great question. Hold that thought. I'll come back to you. Okay. Now, if this wasn't complicated, and maybe I chose too complex of an example, I don't know. I like to have fun with this. Let's actually, one other thing we need to think about is our good friend Irma. So Irma is when, if you go $1 over these income limits, and I'll actually pull up these income limits right here. You go $1 over these income limits, then you get hit, your Medicare premiums increase by hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So this is for 2023. And now the weird thing about Irma, which is basically just it increases your Medicare premiums part B and D. IRMA stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment something. I forget what the last A stands for. This is the brackets for 2023, but it's based on your income in 2021. So your Medicare premium adjustments are based from 2 years ago. So what happens with Susan, she's 63. So in 2 years, she'll be 65, her first year of Medicare premiums. Now she might not be on Medicare for the whole year, so she might not have to worry about this. Or she might not have to worry about it for a whole year impact, because IRMA, it resets each year based on your income from 2 years ago. But so it's 2023 today, a Roth conversion, her income at the end of this year, 2023 total, is going to determine her Medicare premiums when she turns 65. So she also has to think, oh shoot, depending on what I do this year, that's going to affect my Medicare premiums in the future. So she's got to be mindful of that as well, on top of the long-term capital gains here. So, and if we go back to my software, it has like you see these little lines, because again, she goes $1 over and can increase her Medicare premiums by hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So we see, oh yeah, you can probably see that if she reaches this, it's going to be about $1,000 a year of extra Part B and D increases is what the software is estimating because we don't really know because of inflation. Actually, let me go back to the bracket real quick because I do want to say, so Susan, single individual, so $97,000 or less. Now, we don't really know. Usually what I do is just assume that this is the tax bracket in 2025, but realistically, we know what inflation has been for 2023. So the 2024 IRMA brackets for a single individual are starting out at around $103,000. That there's going to be an inflation adjustment because we know there's inflation in 2023. What's going to happen in 2024? We don't know. I think it's reasonable to assume there's going to be some inflation, but what if there isn't? You just don't know. And again, you go a little bit over this threshold and you get kicked in the shin. So to speak. So I think it's helpful to be conservative with this. But so for us, we just go, okay, we know if we go over $97,000, we want to go way over it. And the next bracket is above 97 up to 123. So we're going to go over 97. We definitely don't want to go a couple dollars over because it would just make sense to stay under the $97,000 then with IRMA. So suffice it to say, the Roth conversion is going to have some taxes on it. We know already that she can do $7,000 and it's kind of, or $8,000. It's kind of a no-brainer because she's not going to have any taxes on it. So for example, we do a Roth conversion, say, okay, $8,000 and incremental cost, which is just the tax, is $8,000. And I'll show you guys, look, no tax on it. So that's pretty great. So I think it's a no-brainer to do 8,000, but should Susan do, I don't know, let's say, let's go $50,000. So right before the IRMA brackets. Okay. And so that's going to cause $10,347,000. Oh, wait, you guys can't see. I'm so sorry. So again, $8,000 right here. $8,000 Roth conversion doesn't cause any more taxes. But now let's do a $50,000 Roth conversion. Oh, no, not that much. $50,000 Roth conversion, $10,347 of taxes is a tax rate of about 21% on it. So is 21% a good deal? Is it a bad deal? Let's get to step 2. So that's kind of how you do step 1. You got to look at everything, see what your income is for the year, see how adding a Roth conversion is going to cause an increase in taxes. You want to figure out the marginal tax rate on your Roth conversion. Adding a Roth conversion, just how that Roth conversion, what tax rate it's going to face is the way to go about it. So, okay, we've got this. Let me go back to my steps right here. So 3-step process. Step 1, determine tax rate and Roth conversion amount this year. So if we do a $50,000 Roth conversion, tax rate about 21%. Is what we're going because we're staying right under that Medicare threshold. Now let's go back to my fancy software for step number 2, estimating our future income tax rate. So again, we've got Susan here, and okay, you can't see that, but that's okay. So again, let's actually let me show you this real quick. I will cut to the chase here. So if we, this doesn't look very good. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's a little bit better. Ooh, and you know what okay. So actually, well, yeah. Okay. So Susan, if she doesn't do a Roth conversion strategy, she uses the conventional wisdom, then she's going to end with about $2 million. Estimated taxes over a life of $250,000. So this scenario, no Roth conversions in it. Let's see if she doesn't do any Roth conversions, what her tax rate is going to be over her, what her tax rates are going to be in the future. And so this is assuming, now remember, beginning in 2026, the tax rates are reverting to the old pre-2017 tax brackets, and then we're going to get inflation. They're still going to account for inflation, so the brackets aren't going to be like super shrunk. but the tax rates are going to go up essentially. That's baked in the tax code right now. Of course, Congress can change it. And, there's probably a decent chance they do change it between now and then, but do they increase taxes? Do they decrease? Nobody knows. I think it's a fair starting point is just to assume what's baked into the tax code for Roth conversion planning, but you could be conservative and assume that current tax rates stay the same throughout your lifetime, because it's more aggressive to assume tax rates increase in the future when it comes to making projections about Roth conversions. So that doesn't look very good. Let's see. Well, but then it's hard for you guys to see. Okay, so each year we kind of have her age and her AGI. We can kind of see like, hey, she doesn't have to recognize that much income going forward. Her first year she has that $50,000 of capital gains, plus she's going to have some dividend income, which actually we forgot to include that. We probably should include that. So we can go back and do that. But then we can start to see, around 73, woo, big jump in her income. What's happening here? Well, she's got Social Security income kicking in, and we can kind of see Social Security kicks in here and becomes more taxable as she has to recognize more income over the year. But then in age 73, her income totally jumps because her RMDs kick in. That causes all of her as much Social Security income as possible to become taxable, and that shows up. And so she's got RMDs of $73,000. Social Security is getting taxed the full way. It's no fun. Let's look at what her marginal tax rate is. So what current tax bracket she's in. We're estimating the 25% tax bracket. So, okay, she's in the 25% tax bracket. Let's see if we go a little further. Oh, whoops, I only have Susan living until age 80. Then it deadline's at 28%. She's stuck in the 28% tax bracket, basically, once she gets into her, what? Really? Yeah, her like mid 70s. She's just stuck in that 28% tax bracket. So let me go back to 95. Let's put Susan back at 95 real quick. So I think it's important. Well, and this is actually a good learning point for all of you. How long someone lives is going to have a big impact on the Roth conversion calculations, because essentially if you do a Roth conversion right, the longer you live, the more benefit you're going to get from the Roth conversion. And we won't really go into why that's the case, but just trust me on that one. So we know that Susan, basically we're estimating she's going to be stuck in the 28% tax bracket in the future. And that's, how do you do this? Really, I highly recommend you use software for this. It's just, they're so complex to create a spreadsheet. And I've tried myself to model this, and you can, but it's going to be very error prone. Just chances are you're going to make have a fat finger moment when you're making that spreadsheet, and it could really throw things off. So I'd recommend you get software and project this out. Now, again, another thing about these projections is I use a 5% rate of return, investment rate of return. The higher you assume the rate of return, the better it's going to make Roth conversions look, and the more aggressive an assumption it is. If you do Roth conversions incorrectly, it can reduce your after-tax wealth. It can reduce your wealth. So I think it is really important that we just think about that. And you should always ask, if someone's telling you to do Roth conversions, like, hey, and they show you some estimate showing some things showing a benefit of it, like, hey, Roth conversion can be so look, this Roth conversion is going to benefit you tremendously. Ask them, what rate of return did you assume when doing this? And if it's 10% or something, 10% is a historical average for a 100% stock portfolio. But is your portfolio 100% stocks? Probably not. So that's probably a little too high. So that's the point. So now that we know this, let's go back to our steps here. So determine tax rate and Roth conversion amount this year. Well, we're assuming about a 21% tax rate blended of a 21% tax rate blended on $50,000. We're going to get taxed a little bit 27%, a little bit 25, a little bit of 15, a little bit at 0. We add all these in, the blended rate is 21%. We could also just stop it here at like 25 or even 15 or 0. But, let's say we want to get the full $50,000 in. Rough blended rate of 21%, but we know our future tax rate is going to be 28%. If we leave that money in the IRA, it's going to come out and be taxed at probably a 28% tax rate. Well, 21%, a lot better than 28%. So it's lower than 28%. So that means basically go ahead and do the Roth conversion. So I think the $50,000 Roth conversion would be wise, but is that where we should stop? Should we go further? Well, let's see. Let's go crazy here, and we'll stop right before that last IRMA. Let's go $140,000 Roth conversion, and also we have so it's like $2,000 of dividends, and we'll say like 1,500 of them are qualified. We forgot about that. So $140,000 Roth conversion. That's going to cause increased taxes of $31,521. We do $140,000. That's a tax rate of about 23%, and we're avoiding 28%. But here's the thing: this doesn't include the additional cost of IRMA. So we're going to have $31,521. Plus, if we do this, remember we're going to add $140,000 of income. So that's going to cause our total income to be $192,000 adjusted gross income in IRMA. It goes off something really close to your adjusted gross income. It adds some other income in, but we won't have to go. But so for 2023, at least, we have $192,000 of income. That puts us actually in the second to last bracket. Now my software is actually assuming that those brackets are inflation adjusted. So let me see here, because I thought I didn't have them inflated. Well, yeah, no, it is inflation adjusted because we got 192, but 2023 is 183. So I guess it is assuming some inflation. Let me see here. I thought, oh, wait, inflate brackets and tax report and range calculation. So it's not inflating them. So I wonder why that isn't quite lining up with what we have here. Well, anyways, so we're going up to the fourth bracket. Okay. We're going right up to it. And so it's kind of like, well, if we're in the fourth bracket here, or the second to last one, our premiums, we were going to only pay originally $164, and now we're going to pay $528. So actually, well, let me get it down to 182, because it's just not going to make sense going like $10,000 over, because that's a big jump. So let me do it 130. Let's do 130. Okay, so 130. We got 182 here. There we go. So 182. This is 183. We'll be really conservative. Assume no inflation. So 182. That's going to jump our premiums for Part B at least from 164 to 428. So 428 minus 165. We'll call it as an extra $263 a month of increased Medicare Part B premiums. Then we still have to know the additional taxes on the Roth conversion. So 12, that's an initial $3,100 we're paying in IRMA, plus an additional $29,100 of federal income taxes. That's a total tax, IRMA plus federal income taxes, of $32,250. And we divide that by 130,000, we get 24.8% total tax rate. So we're getting pretty close to 28%. Now we're still getting some benefit there. So if you wanted to be aggressive and you're willing to pay the IRMA premiums, you could say, yeah, like I'll do that. And another benefit in Susan's situation here is that Susan here we go, has a $500,000 taxable account, so she can pay the taxes for the Roth conversion with the taxable account. So going back to To David's question, is it better to do tax gain harvesting or Roth conversions? Well, we know that even if we do a huge Roth conversion, we're paying about 25%. And this can be hard for you guys to see here, but this is assuming no Roth conversions, doing some tax gain harvesting. And we can see that at the end of Susan's life, she has less money than if she does these two different Roth conversion strategies. One is just to stay below the Medicare, stay below the IRMA brackets, and one is to fill up the 24% bracket completely. And there's something really interesting here that I want to show you guys. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. So we can see here that Roth conversions, at least what the math is telling us, that they're still going to be better, even though we lose the tax gain harvesting. But that's also because we're assuming Susan lives to age 95. If she only lives to age 80, maybe like, probably not 80, but probably like, maybe if she only lives to 70 or 73 or something, then the tax gain harvesting might be better. So that's going to play a big role in it, David. But yeah, the math is still saying probably Roth conversions are going to be better. Of course, there's a lot of assumptions baked in there. There's some risk. I should note that if what we found here is that we can do Roth conversions at a lower tax rate. Susan can do Roth conversions at a lower tax rate today than she's probably going to face in the future. That's beneficial for her. If she converts at a higher tax rate today than she faces in the future, that's going to reduce her wealth. It's going to increase the tax burden on her. And this is where it's really important that if somebody shows you a Roth conversion, one thing that really grinds my gears, people, is people say, look, if you do a Roth conversion, this is the no Roth conversion scenario, and you do an aggressive Roth conversion, then you're saving, taxes here over your lifetime, we're estimating are $737,000. And if you don't do Roth conversions, it's $1,040,000. So that's like, $300,000 in tax savings over your life. Well, that's not the full story of the benefits of Roth conversions, because even though they're saving you those taxes over your lifetime, you still have to pay a lot of taxes up front to get that tax reduction over your lifetime. And remember, those taxes up front, there's an opportunity cost to that, which is kind of made up over time by having more money into the Roth IRA and getting the tax-free growth. But so be really careful when someone tells you, this is the tax savings on a Roth conversion, because that doesn't mean that's actually the dollar for dollar benefit for you. The dollar for dollar benefit is the after-tax balance when you pass away using a Roth conversion strategy and everything else equal versus the after-tax balance of not using a Roth conversion strategy. And we see the difference between these two is like $200,000, maybe $250,000. So it's not as great as the taxable difference. And the larger the tax savings are here, the bigger the gap there will be between these things. So basically, if someone shows you the amount of taxes you save with a Roth conversion over your lifetime, it's almost always overstating the benefit of a Roth conversion. Like the technical way to do it is to figure out your after-tax wealth at the end of your life with a Roth conversion versus without. Now, of course, that's a lot of estimates and guesses in there. So I can understand why people do show cumulative taxes, but I'm not the biggest fan of doing it. Yeah, so I think that's basically the case study. I mean, just to kind of review Susan's situation, we figured out, okay, she could, I think reasonable estimates for Susan, 3 kind of options. She could do $8,000, not pay any tax in the Roth conversion, do maybe a $50,000, 40, or maybe a little less than 50, because then she's gotten pretty close to the IRMA threshold, stay under the first IRMA threshold. And because she has that taxable income, she can pay all the taxes for the Roth conversion outside of her retirement accounts with her taxable account. That's going to boost the benefits of Roth conversions. Essentially, it just turbocharges the benefits of them, which Susan has available to her. So that's good. Or if she's going to hit the IRMA thresholds, then, maybe she just goes big and goes into the 24% bracket. Would probably be like the 3 different scenarios I would recommend to her. Although, I mean, you can also do something in the 22% bracket. That would be fine. as well, maybe like right at the end of the 22% bracket. So many options, but at the end of the day, tax rates today lower than what we expect our tax rates to be in the future. That's the name of the game. I will take questions now, and I've got one, but I need a quick drink of water here. Okay, when will she stop doing Roth conversions? Well, great question. I'll show you. In these strategies, she's going to stop, let's see, in 2030, actually, yeah, 2030, which I assume is going to be when she reaches 70, but let's see. Let's see for the big one. This is filling up the 24% tax bracket. So it's going to be a while. Oh man, it's refreshing. We don't like to see that. So I assume it's going to be at age, well, yeah, if she's 63 in 2023, then 7 years from now will be 2030. That's when she stops. So it's age 70, but I'll show you like the, at least what the software is saying, how much she should do each time. And I'm sorry, it's taken a bit. The software it really likes to calculate stuff. It's okay. We're going to go here, withdrawal plan, and let's go to Roth conversions. You can see Roth conversions. Yeah. Oh, actually 2028. Yeah, she's doing a lot here. I wonder if she almost like runs out of IRA money. Let's see if that's why it stops in 2028. No, rollover IRA. So we can see the rollover IRA balance is kind of shrinking. Well, account values. Yeah, okay. So tax deferred is her rollover IRA. It's the blue bar. We can see that kind of is shrinking. The gold's getting bigger. That's the Roth IRA. So that's shrinking. Yeah. So I guess in this one stops at 2028. And of course, you may ask like, well, hey, 2026, the tax rates convert. So how is she still doing some conversions? You'll notice that she does a ton in the first 3 years, and then they really drop off in the last 3. And that's because then she's just going to probably be filling up the 15% tax bracket beginning in 2026. So that's why they get so much smaller. And then eventually that 15% bracket just goes away. So great question. I think this is a follow-up. So she depleted her entire traditional IRA. No, she didn't even get close. That's what I thought maybe happened. But no, if we look here, rollover IRA balance is just it's still going strong. At the end of her life, she's got like 1.5 million in it. Although I don't know why they're showing it. Rollover IRA Roth. Sorry, that was the Roth account. Oops. Yeah, there we go. This is the rollover IRA balance. And yeah, you can see that. I mean, she starts with 1.5 at the beginning of her retirement. She's got a chunk of it. I mean, already by 2025, she's $500,000 gone. But then that basically staggers. Then she's got RMDs, but she's still got some growth in it. She's got a decent amount of money in there. And again, she's only spending $80,000 a year, inflation adjusted. So, it goes up over time. But we can see, that balance at the end of her life at 95, she's still got $800K in there. That's the way to do it. Almost never do you want to convert your entire IRA into a Roth IRA. You want to be strategic about it. Yep, but good question. So she does not deplete it. She's still got plenty of money left over in there. And let me get out of here. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. You can't see this. Shoot. So sorry, guys. Yeah, so this is the green bar is her rollover IRA, and we can see that, she's still got plenty of money in there, but a couple years in, she's got $500,000 out of there, but then that $1 million mark, she kind of goes, it's even growing a little bit, even with some smaller Roth conversions, just because she's got so much money in there. We're just assuming a 5% rate of return, but still. And then she's got RMDs kicking in, and the RMDs increase over time. So more money needs to come out of the IRA. And so it starts to go down, but still she ends with $800,000 in it. So it doesn't deplete it at all. Doesn't even really come close to it. And that makes sense. Almost always the most tax efficient withdrawal strategy or retirement income strategy is not to entirely deplete your IRA. And the gold bar is the Roth. So you can see that the Roth is just becoming a bigger and bigger portion of her retirement. The gold is the Roth. The blue is the IRA. So you can see that the gold is just growing, and then it's basically, over time becoming the majority of her account. Is she drawing any money from traditional IRA for her expenses? Eventually she will be, yeah, because she has to once RMDs kick in. But before RMDs kick in, she isn't. So before RMDs kick in, she is this is the Roth conversions. Okay, this is the Roth conversion amount. So she's just spending from her taxable. The taxable runs out, so now she starts spending from her IRA. And then I think actually her RMDs don't start to kick in here until, well, yeah, if she's 63 this year, then it would be 10 years from now around here. And actually the program, so the program is actually saying that she starts taking money out of her Roth IRA. Why would that be? Because essentially what the program is saying is that she's hitting tax rates of above 28%. And this is where, like, I wouldn't read too much into this, ladies and gentlemen, but what ends up happening is that when the tax rates revert to the old tax rules, your itemized deductions can get phased out. Your standard deduction drops. There's all these like little weird wonky things. And there's some phase outs happening at higher income levels that aren't happening right now. And so the program is recognizing that and saying, well, if she were, what is this? Yeah, 2033. So 10 years down the road, if inflation is this, then like maybe she's going to have these phase outs, which are going to increase her marginal tax rates to higher than 28%. So instead, it would actually make sense to take money out of the Roth IRA to avoid having traditional IRA money taxed at really high tax rates. It can certainly be a strategy, but something that, I think is more in the advanced phase, and really something that most people, like, unless you're in your late 70s or 80s, is not something you're really too concerned about, probably. But yeah, so the software is actually having her take some money out of her traditional IRA. This is probably RMDs, and then actually taking money out of her Roth once she's used all of her taxable income up. So that's what it's saying. Then just to show you Roth conversions, yeah. So here we go. Okay. Hope that's helpful. Let's see. Mr. David Foltz. Oh, yeah. Her healthcare plan. So if Susan was going to be using the ACA, how would that change her Roth conversion glide path? Oh, well, I'll kind of show you all. So first off, ACA means Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare. And if you are an early retiree, which Susan is, she's early retiree is generally considered before 65, before Medicare. I don't know why I don't make these rules. That's just what people kind of think of. So what do you do for healthcare when you retire before Medicare? Because we know private health insurance is expensive. Can you even get it? Well, ACA, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare says, hey, there's got to be a public option. You can get healthcare. Now, is it affordable? Generally, no. I easily see my 60-year-old clients on ACA paying, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month in premiums. So the plans are not cheap, but you need health insurance, because it's easy to go bankrupt like that if you don't have it. So you need it to protect yourself from that risk. But what the government has done is the government said, hey, we recognize that these plans can be really unaffordable. So if your income is below certain limits, we will give you money to subsidize your health insurance premiums. Now, they do that by actually like giving you a tax credit on your tax return. We're not going to talk about all the mechanics of how the government gives you it, but basically the government will subsidize your income if you're below certain income levels. So Susan, in our example, if she was going to be using the ACA, that would totally throw off her Roth conversions in the early years of her retirement, because she could easily have a low enough income, probably keep, for a single person, keep your income below like 30, 40,000 bucks. And you can get like, you could probably get 10, well, depending on your premiums, really it all depends what your premiums are in your area. But, you could easily get $1,000 a month off your premiums if you keep your income low enough, or at least several $100s. And the more your income goes up, the more of them you lose. But this is at lower income levels. Think like maybe $15,000 to 60. There's a phase out, and the phase out is much higher, meaning you lose bigger chunks of the health insurance premium subsidy at lower income levels. Think like 15,000 to 40,000, and then eventually just kind of you get a set leveling off later on in the income stream. So to answer David's question, if Susan was on the ACA, which for here I just assume she wasn't, we had a lot going on here, long-term capital gains, IRMA. I didn't want to throw in ACA as well. Then let me, pull up this graph. We see Susan doing some huge Roth conversions the first 3 years of her retirement. So she's going to be 63 this year. She's turning 64 in 2024, turning 65 in 2025. So probably for at least these 2 years, Susan would probably want to not do, she probably wouldn't do any Roth conversions, to be honest. Well, okay. This year, she already has $50,000 of long-term capital gains income. And even though it's taxed at 0%, ACA is based off your adjusted gross income. Let me show you that figure. So adjusted gross income basically adds up all your income and gives you some minor adjustments to it. But it's up here. Your taxable income is down here. Where is that? Taxable income. So let me actually show you this to make more sense of what I'm saying. So she has $50,000. So her total income is $52,000, adjusted gross income, which is what ACA bases your income off your modified adjusted gross income. So it makes some small tweaks to this income figure. But for most people, it's going to be really similar to what their adjusted gross income figure is. But then their taxable income's lower because you get this deductions. And again, she pays zero taxes because she's in the 0% tax rate. But really, if she was on the ACA premium, then she's going to face higher tax rates in the effect of the loss health insurance premium subsidies, or her health insurance premium. She's going to have to pay more for them. So even though it doesn't show up on the tax return, again, it's another way of a stealth tax. And so she probably wouldn't want to do these big Roth conversions, because instead of, if she does a $30,000 Roth conversion, in my experience, right now she has to pay taxes. It's estimated at $5,300, but she might lose another $5,000, $10,000 in health insurance premiums, or by increasing your income by $30,000, she may have to pay an additional $5,000 to $7,000 of health insurance premiums. So that's like another tax. When you add it all up, it gets really expensive for her. So it probably would make sense for her just to avoid. I see in most situations for people with the ACA, they're either doing really small Roth conversions, like probably sub $30,000, or they are just avoiding them altogether. I don't see many people just like pushing through them unless they have a bunch of other income already. So they're already like not getting any benefits because their income is too high. And then maybe you stack on a Roth conversion for that year. But yeah, great question, David. So hope that's helpful to folks. Let's see, man, we got a lot of questions here. I like it. Will she be subject to NIIT with those big early Roth conversions? Yeah, excellent question. How should I do this? Yeah, so if she did the big Roth conversion, I think we were saying $130,000. Her adjusted gross income was going to be $182,000. So actually, she would be okay. So for those of you who don't know, NIIT is the net investment income tax. Yeah, that's what it stands for. And basically, And these brackets are not adjusted for inflation. So if your total income goes over a certain amount, then the investment portion of that income can get hit with a 3.8% tax. So Roth conversions can push your income up. You could go. So in her example, because let me show you this. Sorry. In her example, because she's below $200,000, she doesn't need to worry about it because it only takes effect when you go above 200,000. But if she did, and actually, I can show you this on right here. You see this brown line? That's the net investment income tax. So yeah, she does enough Roth conversions, then the Roth conversions are going to push her long-term capital gains income to not only be taxed at 15%, but then eventually it'll get an additional 3.8% tax on the net investment income. So that's another phase out, but she'd have to do really, really big conversions. She'd have to, go through the 24% tax bracket. So great question. That's another stealth tax you got to worry about. They just keep on coming. It's fun. It's really not. It's kind of a silly system, but I guess I shouldn't complain because it's partially why I have a job. So I don't know. ACA cliff returns in 2026. Yeah, great question. Great point. So going back to Affordable Care Act, how do I want to explain this? So remember I said your income, as your income rises, you get less and less health insurance premium subsidies, and you have to pay more and more of your health insurance premiums. Eventually you have to pay 100% if your income gets large enough. So beginning right now, it's just like this after you get through like your first 40, it also depends if you're married or not, but after you get through like your $30,000, $40,000 of income, it gets pretty smooth. It's kind of linear. Hey, as I add a couple of dollars of income, I have to pay 8.5% of that is going to increase my premium. So it's like an 8.5% tax. But beginning in 2026, that's not the case anymore. There's a cliff. So remember IRMA premiums, how you go $1 over and your IRMA premiums increase. Well, there is that cliff returning in 2026 where it's like, oh shoot, I go $1 over this income level cliff, and all of a sudden I lose maybe $2,000 in health insurance premiums. So the joys of tax planning, that's coming back in 2026 because it was only extended. The cliff used to be there, they got rid of the cliff, and then it's coming back in 2026. And in general, I'm not a big fan of cliffs in the tax code because it just creates a whole bunch of silly incentives for people. So, someone said that. Yeah, 8.5% for ACA costs on extra income. So it's like just an 8.5% additional income tax. But again, it can actually be, the rate can be much higher. It can be like a 20% on a couple $1,000s because the rate, the loss premiums equates to like an additional income tax rate. It can be like 20% at lower areas of income. But then once you get through a certain income level, then it's just a flat 8.5% additional to this. And on a married couple, I've seen them, they need like $100,000 to get through all their ACA premiums because there's no cliff. So it just stretches on and on and on. So then 9.5% in 2026 plus. Yeah. That's all I've got for you folks today. I hope you appreciate it. I don't know, maybe this was a little too nerdy, but I hope it's helpful in your Roth conversion because it's Roth conversion time, people. End of the year is coming up. We've got what was it, 45 days until the end of the year. And now what your income is going to be for the year. You should have a really good idea of it unless you're self-employed or you get some K1s. And so it's really easy to determine what your income is going to be for the year. And if you know that, you can figure out the tax on your Roth conversion. And then you just got to estimate in the future. So, go maximize that tax efficient income. Again, I have got a YouTube channel, everyone, which I will share the link to that in the notes right here. And yep, YouTube channel. I don't know if you can like copy and paste that, but that's what I got going on. It's cool. I'd recommend checking it out. And let me know if you've got any like video ideas you want to see for me on there, or the live streams. Cause I've noticed the live stream, you know, we've got like a core group of like 20 people on here. But I don't know. The live streams I may be toning down in the future, to kind of focus more on YouTube, because I'm seeing a lot of growth, from it there. But let me know if what live stream topics you want to see, or YouTube videos. I will be on unfortunately a 2-week hiatus here these next 2 Tuesdays. I've got a personal event next Tuesday, and then the Tuesday after that, Halloween, is actually my mother's birthday. So I will be celebrating her birthday with her. So I will be unavailable these next 2 weeks, but I'm going to try and have some surprises for you guys at 7 p.m. both times. So that's my goal to do that. So I appreciate all you guys showing up tonight. If we got nothing else, then have a great rest of your night, everyone. And I will see you all not in November. Yeah, shoot, man, November. So appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Bye now.